This week we're going to be taking a look at Google Sites. It's a website creation tool found within G Suite. It can be shared worldwide, just within Hopewell City Public Schools, or with specific users. It is best utilized in conjunction with and not instead of Google Classroom. And you can easily embed G Suite apps such as Docs, Slides, Sheets, Calendar. All the things that you want students to have access to can be embedded from your Google Drive into a Google site. There are 7 easy steps for creating a Google site. To begin, you need to choose your purpose and decide on your audience. Will it be for just your students, for your students and their parents? Will it be for your students to showcase their work for a broader audience, or just within Hopewell? You need to select a name, and from there you can begin creating. It's very simple to add a title, pages, resources, and publish your work. By publishing it, you've shared it with a broader audience of your choosing. So let's give it a try. To navigate to Google Sites from your Drive, click on the Apps browser and choose the Sites icon. We want to work in the new Google Sites, so make sure that you come over here to this button to make sure that you're in the new Google Sites. You can still create in the older version, but it's not as easy and it will be going away. So in the new Google Sites, to create a new site for practice or for your students, you click the red plus sign. So the first thing you want to do, just with all things Google, when you're on a Google site, creating it for the first time, is to give it a name. This starts the saving process, just like with Docs, just like with Sheets, just like with Slides. So I am going to create a sample website that we'll be using. So now that I've done this, and I click elsewhere, you'll notice that it has this name here at the top. This is not how it will be published yet. That'll be determined later. But we've started the saving process, and we now want to put that page title here. You can leave this, you can delete this. Those are your options. But I am going to give it a title. From here, you do have some options. You can change how you want the header to look, so it can be just the title, the banner, a larger banner, or it can be the entire cover. I'm just going to stick with the regular banner for now, and I would like to change that image. Just like with Google Forms, you can change the image that you see from a list. There is a gallery of resources from which to choose, as well as you can search the internet, you can search your Google Drive. So you have lots of options to pull a picture. All right, so now that I've chosen a picture, I like it. I am going to now come over to this sidebar where you have several different options. You have the Insert tab, which it defaults to. You have lots of choices: a text box, and images, anything from your drive. You can embed something using the HTML code. Recently added are some sample layouts. So this is great for pictures and descriptions. You have some different ways to show that if you just want one picture or two, 3 pictures with text, 4 pictures with text, all sorts of options. Below that, you have the different things that you can just insert. So the new feature is creating a button or a divider. You can also just insert from all of these Google resources shown here. The other option you have beyond the Insert tab is the Themes tab. This allows you to choose what theme will be for the fonts and the colors for your site. So let's go with this. You can kind of play around and see with which one you like best. There are limited options. Unfortunately, that is not something that has been added yet, but there are some different themes, so play around with that to choose what you like best. So the first thing I want to do is insert a text box. Now that I have some text entered, I actually want to change the color. So the section background, you have a couple of options. You can leave it like it is here, with slightly different shade. Emphasis 1, it will blend in with the background. Emphasis 2 makes it the highlight color that you chose, or it can be an image. I'm going to leave it just the way it is. I am going to make this centered. So the next step, you have a couple of options. You can, for this one, I'm going to create some buttons because I'd like to make some other pages, but I don't want them linked. I want them to be sub pages. I don't want them just across the top. So we can go ahead and create a calendar. And as it creates, you'll notice it is listed as a separate page. We can also So I'm going to create a couple of buttons now that we have our 2 pages. They are listed under the home page. I'm going to come down to button and select calendar. When I click here, I'll see the option of the other 2 pages that have been created. So I'm going to choose the page that was created called calendar and select insert. You can make the button wider if I like. And then I'm going to make a separate button again for past. I'm just going to click and drag to make it the same size and then move it here. You'll notice that there are these 3 little dividers. That's a way to help keep things organized and evenly spaced in Google Sites. It's very useful. And then just for balance, so now we have 3 buttons for our page. If we wanted to add images, you have a couple of options. You can just click image and select, and then it'll allow you to pull from either your albums or your Google Drive. Once you've inserted a picture, you have a couple of options. You can crop it, which is a little clunky, but it lets you zoom in and choose pieces, parts. You can resize by clicking and dragging, but you'll notice that that also crops out some of the students. You can center. You can even move it to the section above. Your choice. The other option is to use one of the formats on the side. And the same option, you can upload, select an image from your drive. You can embed YouTube, calendar, or even a map. So this gives you lots of resources that you can add in an already organized and neat manner. I'm actually going to just choose pictures. So to visit another page, you can add some different information. I'm going to actually come to the Pages tab and visit the calendar. Again, I have the same choices. So I'm going to come over to Insert. I'm going to use this layout. And I'm going to come to Calendar. From here, I'm going to get a choice of all of my possible calendars. I will just choose this one. And now that calendar is embedded into the site. Go to the preview button, which is up here. From there, I can click and change the view to whichever suits my needs. So in this preview, this is the view for a large screen like a laptop. This view would be how it would appear on a tablet, and this is how it would appear on a cell phone. So it's kind of nice that you get to see how it would work from device to device. It's a very handy little resource. To go back to editing, just click the X. I'm going to come back to Pages. So from here, I'm going to go to Past Lessons. And I'm going to actually insert a slideshow presentation. So from here, I would go to just Insert and Slides. And it does pull from your recent resources that are all Google Slides. So it's nice that it filters that way. I'm going to click this and just choose Insert. From here, I can adjust and center. For my gear, if I choose that, it allows me, if I want to auto start the presentation. If you choose that, you can loop the playback. You can choose the delay. You can choose what slide it begins on. I'm actually not going to auto start. And then select Done. Now visitors to the website can view any slideshow presentations that you may wish to use. This works also for sheets, forms, slides, docs, YouTube videos, just the same way you'd insert a YouTube video into a Google slide. It's the same for using it in Google Sites. So if you're on a page and you've chosen you have the home button, and then you have the drop down here. So then that will take you back to the other pages without having to add a button, unless you choose to do so. So if you want your students to have their own page on your site, just be aware that there's currently no way to restrict an editor's to page level rights. That's a feature that used to be available on Google Sites, but is currently not in the new version. It is very clunky when multiple editors are working at the same time, but there is a workaround. Let's say you wanted to create student portfolios on your blog, on your Google site. One of the problems with Google Sites is when you add multiple editors and they're working at the same time, it gets very wonky on different displays. If multiple computers have the same thing up, it looks like one person is editing a section that they're actually not editing, and it can be very confusing. So if you're using this with students as a way for them to display their work, I recommend having students create their page and then share the link with you. That way they can edit their page, their Google site, but you can create a link to it on your Google site. So students would go through this same process, only they would share the link. They would make you an editor, which can be done by clicking this button here. Right now, this hasn't been published yet, but it will be viewable by anyone at Hopewell Public Schools. That is the default once it is published. You can change that so that only specific people can view it when it's published, or that anyone on the web can view it when it is published. This is a way to set privacy settings, so maybe student work is behind the firewall if they are younger than age 13, or if they put too much personal information. That would be a conversation to have about how much information, so good digital citizenship lesson. Or it could be a blog that's just limited to students within your class, that you would add them individually or within a certain block. So that choice is up to you depending on your purpose. For this one, I'm going to leave it published version just within Hopewell Public Schools. There are no editors right now, but if you wanted to make someone an editor, this is where you would come. And they have just two options here. They can edit or they can view the published site, so just be aware. You also have the options to prevent editors from publishing, changing, access, and adding new people. So that is just something for you to know. If you did want collaborators on the draft, you could add it here as well. So, were a student to share and make you an editor on their page, that would give you access to the link so that then you could insert a button, and paste the link to that that the student shared with you. They could share it in an email. You would get notification if they shared it and gave you access rights, editing rights, which I recommend for students just so that you can make comments or assist them with any design that is needed. And then once you've done that, you can hit insert, posted that link and hit insert, and it will save that as a button just like it did for with pages within the Google site. So just an option if you are looking to use Google Sites for student blogging as well, and hopefully that will be useful. So now we're at the point where we want to publish the site. This is currently just a draft. No one else can see this site. I'm going to click publish, and it's going to give me some options. So it gives me the web address. It takes a combination of the name and it adds it to our Hopewell domain URL starter. And then it tells me who can view my site. From here I can manage that. Takes me back to where I chose who could view and edit. And I can select done if I want to leave those the same. Now, once I hit publish, anyone within the, according to this, Hopewell Public Schools will be able to view this site. They'll be able to do a search for it and they will find it. So just be aware, know what your audience is set to be. So from there, click publish, and it's going to take a moment. Since there's not a lot of information, the site published very quickly. So let's say I want to go and make some changes, and I want to add something to the calendar page. And let's see, I'm going to add a divider. Then I'm going to add a doc. Insert that. I'm going to adjust the size. And I'm going to come back. And insert a text box. And I would like for this to be a title. I can also change this to a heading, a subheading, small, or normal text. I think I'm going to leave it like that. And remove that divider. So now that I've done this, folks will be able to depending on their rights, folks will be able to go into, they can open this in Docs or just view what is on the document that's been attached. Now, since I have made changes to my site since I last published, I am going to need to hit publish again. Anytime you can make changes to your Google site at any time, but in order for those changes to take effect to those who can view your site, you have to hit the publish button. This updates the site for viewers so that they see the most recent version. Now, if you want students to see and access your site, to get the link that you would share out in Classroom, you're going to click this drop-down button and go to the View Published Site. And this is going to take you to that published site. we'll go to the home. And from there, this link is what you would copy and paste into Google Classroom so that students can see and use this resource. You'll notice you have a couple of options down here. Because you're the editor, you have this pencil. Most viewers will not unless you've given them editing rights. This is so that you could quickly edit the page however you see fit. You also have a search bar, which would allow you to search the entire Google site for something that you may have posted.